I think that today is a special day, like every day, but it's almost the beginning of Holy Week. Um, it's the No King's March. So I thought we would just start with a prayer of St. Francis, if you know it by heart, which I thought I did, but then I looked it up on my phone. You could say it with me. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let there be love. Where there is wrong, may I bring forgiveness. Where there is discord, let there be harmony. Where there is error, I may bring truth. Where there is a doubt, I may bring faith. Where there is despair, let me bring hope. For those in the shadows, let me bring light. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to be comfort than to be comforted, understand than to be understood. Let me love than to be loved. It is by self-forgetting that one finds forgiveness, in dying that one awakens to eternal life. Amen. Oops. Bill was going to take the mic, but he walked away.
So good morning. On the agenda, you'll see the next thing is check-in and announcements. Now, I've always thought that we should do announcements at the beginning of Mass because then you find out where people are and what's the good and bad and all that. But first, if Ofelia está por atrás si quieres una máquina para interpretation, okay? So, okay. And then, all right. So announcements, check in and announcements. Anybody got an announcement? Now, Father Dave is going to be talking about the May 6th event at the Archdiocese, inviting, but he'll talk about that. But before that, are there any other announcements? Anybody going to a march after this or anything? Okay. Any announcements? Where are you going? Where are you going? Ferndale, Oak Park, Ypsilanti. Okay. Oh, Romulus. Yeah. Say it again. Okay. Any other announcements of things happening that you want people to know about? Your Vicky, real loud. No more donuts. Bagels. All right. Any other announcements of things that are going on at your church or your circle that you want people to know about? Tom? What? Free palms on Palm Sunday. Okay. All right. So, Father Dave, go ahead. All right, hold on 1 second so she can start over real loud, Marianne. It's a great program. If you're a parish, parishes should be thinking about this, especially for people who aren't sure, who are confused by different reports. Any other? Go ahead, Karen. Okay. Now there's a number of people that are driving back and forth from North Lake. Has anybody been part of that? Anybody been to North Lake? Go ahead, Jim. What happens? Don't talk with your mouth full.
And they do their process and they're ready. So every day we have a volunteer contact North Lake with a list of people that we're thinking are getting out, saying, we get them today, who's coming out today. We find out who it is, we arrange drivers to go in various directions. People all over the country end up there. And we get people, to Detroit or to Chicago or onto a bus or a train, whatever it takes to get them home.
Good. Okay. All right. And there's a number of, Kathleen.
And that is going to be opportunities for people to make contributions to help and who are incarcerated make phone calls and maybe to buy food that kind of thing. So that information will be coming out from my pressing bill on but even $20, $10, anything that I will be making people ride somebody call and deposit the money.
Great. Thanks, Kathleen. Vanessa?
I wanted to talk about. So I'm sorry. I've been in touch with some people over by Baldwin who have been assisting me with visiting detainees inside the detention center. Somehow my number got circulated inside the center, and so they've been contacting me. And so then there's people there that if you need them to get anyone to be visited, you can let me know. And then another thing is also they also have volunteers that can also go pick people up that are near there as well. And they also are working on something with like, they give people also commissary so we can all contact with each other that way, And then another thing that I have been talking to some of the detainees, and I'm sorry, is just that sometimes we do need somebody who's on the outside as a volunteer to help somebody who's on the inside, because some of the people in there don't have somebody on the outside to help them with like legal paperwork. And that's one of the things, if anybody ever wants to volunteer for that with someone who's inside the detention center. And it's pretty much just going to the attorneys and taking their paperwork, because they won't take their case most of the time if they're just in there. So
see you after. Okay, great. Karen?
I have a loud voice.
Okay.
Okay, Linda Dallas is here today, and I just gave her money to have the people take up to Baldwin. If other people want to do a cash donation, they're going up next week. You can give it to Linda, and she puts the people that go up there, put it on the commissary account. Because when people do it down here, like their families, they charge a surcharge. When they take it right up there, they don't get charged the surcharge.
25% surcharge. It's a company. It's a good deal to make money. All right. Any last thing, Rosemary?
The Birmingham Unitarian Church about immigration, strangers no longer with an immigrant witness.
Okay, and we have a couple of new circles today, but Christ Church Episcopal in Grosse Pointe, and then St. Mark's with two other churches up in Grand Blanc are declared themselves circles this past week. Are there any new people? Are there people here that are here for the first time? Marianne, you've been here, but you first timers or second timers? Okay, so that's Christ the Redeemer. Go ahead. Yes, sir. We're Michael, from where?
I guess Jesu. I mean, my wife's gone through that, and I've been
Okay.
a little bit involved with that church. But I'm on the west side in Detroit, and then my family work caretakers at Nature Park too, a little bit north.
Great. Welcome. Welcome. Father Dave?
Yeah.
Bill, here's the sheets to pass out. Each table, there's nothing for everybody. It's a conference, Pastoral Care for Immigrants, that is being sponsored by the Archdiocese of Detroit and all the regional bishops of Ohio and Michigan. And it's designed for mostly for groups like dioceses or parishes or a circle or whatever group you're in to come and hear about basic things. There'll be what are the rights that you have when you're accompanying somebody to a court, when you are on the street in a public protest, when are you outside a Baldwin facility, and all those kinds of rights and so forth. So there'll be a variety of information. But in the end, the goal, and this is what I want to stress, the goal is not just information or just that to learn personally. The goal is to, and there's going to be some time given to this, is to try to jumpstart planning and getting some concrete plans down for dioceses as well as for parishes and other kind of groups. I think you'll find it valuable. There's the URL or the QR code that you can do it. It's in. They have the information in Spanish as well as English. There's a cost because there's a cost. 30 will be, well, they add the little fee for things. So it'll be like 39, 40 bucks for the cost. If you need some support that way, there's a phone number to call from the Archdiocese Catholic Charities that you can get let them know, and they'll find a way to get a code so that you don't have to pay. But I can't. I heard all these things. Those are the things that need to come to that kind of meeting somehow, so that we have all this good stuff happening. But then we want all the dioceses of Michigan as a Catholic church to have a little coordination, not to take it over at all, but to know that those things are happening and know the resources are there. And that might even help some dioceses that haven't started a whole lot of anything to really take seriously. So please think about coming. If you do come, try to have at least 3 people, I would say, because it's going to be group time where you're going to be given time to take the information and say, what's going on? How could you apply it to your parish, to your diocese, to your circle, to your group? So thank you very much.
Okay, any questions? Any questions on that? Tom?
Sure, it doesn't work.
The registration does not work?
Right, it does not.
That's not good.
It's not a typical registry. It's not a typical registration form. It's like an Eventbrite form. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is it can be confusing. I don't know. I checked the link in the newsletter 2-3 times, but yeah, I think, Tom, you just have to kind of stay on that link a little bit, and it's difficult to actually find where you actually register.
And it's on the Strangers No Longer newsletter last week has the QR code. Okay, so working on that. Any other questions for Father Dave? Okay, Tom, it's not personal. Okay, I'd like the banquet folks to come up. June and Mary Traub. Where's Mary? Mary Traub and a couple of folks from Nativity have been Father Charles, you probably know this. You got some active parishioners over there, are working on the ad book. So, and then June, once you take questions for June, does your church, do you have tickets? That's kind of my thing is, does San Clemente have tickets? Does Our Lady of the Woods? June?
Good morning, everybody. Right now, we're winding down, getting names, a list of people who are going to attend the banquet. We do need those names ASAP because we're going to do like we did last year. Your names are going to be placed on a name tag if you buy a ticket. And we do have to start that process like within the next few days. So if you haven't turned in your list with the names of the people who are attending the banquet, please get that to me as soon as possible by email. If you need a form or if you know the names now, I have a couple of blank forms I can give you. I thought I didn't, but I do. And just get your checks in and your payment in for the tickets as soon as possible. But I do need the names as soon as possible. And we've contacted a few of the circles within the last few days about sending in their information. And if you have not even received any information at all, let me know today and I'll get you on the list.
Well, hold on here. So don't go away. So wants to go to the banquet but doesn't have a ticket, doesn't know details? Okay. That means that your church or your parish your circle's not, what about, are you gonna get, you got your tickets? Okay. Who else doesn't know anything about the details or hasn't talked to anybody about a ticket? I'm trying to find out who here is from a church that's not got a table already organized. Everybody? Oh, St. Mary, Grisel, you got your tickets? Okay. Nancy has the list. So I think there's eight tables that are being organized for the mujeres. Anybody else that doesn't have a ticket? This is sort of like who doesn't have their homework. Okay. All right. And anything else?
No, I have the names of some of the circles that initially contacted me, but I haven't heard any other information. So I'm not going to say your names now, but I will be contacting you within the next day or two. Thank you. No, there are no tickets, but I do need the names. And if you need a little cheat sheet, I do have that with me today I can give you.
The names are important because Anita and Denise are organizing it. So when you walk in the door, your name will be there with your ticket number, your table number. So that's why you already got it. Okay. That's what it'll be this year. Okay. As far as the banquet goes, Mary, can you add anything on the ad book? Some of these folks, their parishes have contributed an ad.
Thank you very much. I'm Mary Traub. Many of you have gotten 1, 2, 3 emails from me over the last month or so. We are trying to wind up. We only have a day or two left to get the ads into the printer. So if your parish has not gotten an ad into us yet, or if there is a business, please get it into us in the next couple of days. We have to get that to the printer this week, early this week. You don't need to worry about payment at this time because we can, get that after the due date. But please get the confirmation that they're going to be placing an ad and get the artwork to us ASAP. Thank you.
There'll be a 10-minute presentation at the banquet by a woman that's one of the ministers that's going into North Lake. And she's going to, for 10 minutes, just explain the kind of cruelty that's happening. She just has some stories, 10 minutes. And then the other is Emmanuel. Where's Chris Lynch? Emmanuel you heard him speak, but he's a young 21-year-old. He's going to be speaking for about 10 minutes too. Do you want to say anything about him?
To our last circle meeting last week, and he gave his testimony about his experience. It's really his father's experience, and his father was detained and had to go through this entire process, was in Baldwin for quite some time. And it was a very moving and very touching testimony of, what it's like from the perspective of a young person seeing what's happening to their parent. And so very powerful. I look forward to hearing. He's 21, 22-ish. I don't know exactly his age, but it was a very compelling story about his dad, who's never been in trouble, never had any issues, getting picked up, just trying to go to work. And it was very powerful. But to see it from that perspective of a young person, who I don't know all of his situation, but I believe that he's a citizen of the U.S. and here seeing his dad having to be deported. So
Okay, so that'll be there. Also, Flor and Griselda, one of the mujeres in your circle convinced her husband to be a DJ for the event. So we tried to get Bad Bunny, but instead we have a good bunny. Good bunny. What? Also, the Saint Clement. Where's Saint Clement? Saint Clemente. Where did you go, Saint Clemente? Where is she? She's here. The youth choir from Saint Clement is going to be singing. So at the beginning. All right. And then, of course, the raffles. I meant to read to you a letter from Irma Landine, who's coordinating the raffles. She says there's 22 baskets. She said that's less than last year. But last year, St. Michael's Parish did 8 baskets. I mean, so this is actually we have more participation. How many, who's bringing a basket or what? I know Bob is bringing, you guys are the Circle of Compassion. Somebody's making it. Okay. So it's great. That money, the money will be, that money will go into our Families in Crisis Fund. So all of that will go into Families in Crisis, and we do need that. Okay, on your table now, so this has been the announcement time. Now we're going to start working here. Over the last month or two, we've been asking you to, in your circles of support, first of all, to have your monthly meeting. If you don't have a monthly meeting, you might not exist. So have a monthly meeting. That's, we say that, you know, if you don't have a monthly meeting. So we've asked that there be some conversation about how is the immigration crisis impacting you, your family, and your faith. So we're going to have reports from circle leaders after this, but I'd like to take 15 minutes at the table. And if you have a small table, try to make sure there's 6 people at your table. We can do with 5, but and then at each table, somebody please volunteer to be the chairperson. Make sure everybody gets 2 minutes or 3 minutes to share. How is the immigration crisis impacting you, your family, or your faith? Now, if you say, oh, we did that, I did that before. Well, part of the reason for doing that is so that you get to know the people at your table. If you already know the people at your table, then please go to a different table where you don't know anybody, okay? So for instance, Bob and Alice, I don't know, you know everybody there. All right. All right, so let's, somebody volunteer please to be the kind of the facilitator, make sure everybody's moving, everybody's getting 2 minutes. So the question is, how is the immigration crisis impacting you, your family, and your faith? Now, last thing before you start, these stories that you start to tell and that other circles are going to be, are going to be the meat of the proposed, if you look at your agenda, 1015, there's a proposal to do an Assembly for Hope on June 29th, Monday morning at 10 o'clock, with public officials there, especially police chiefs, and the Michigan Attorney General, Dana Nessel, will be there. So she's already committed. So the stories that you're hearing in your circles and around the table will be the meat of that assembly. All right, so I'll give a time here. So on your mark, so 15 minutes, and I'll blow the whistle in 15 minutes. So please share the question. How is the immigration crisis impacting you, your family, or your faith? Thank you.
May 6th, this should be simultaneous translation provided by.
Okay, Father Dave, wanted to just remind people that May 6th event it'll be at Sacred Heart in person, but there will also be simultaneous interpretation. Right, there will be interpretation at May 6th. So we are encouraging broad diversity. So for example, if you could at the Consejo Estatal floor, if you could just encourage people to sign up. It'll be at the seminary in Detroit. Right. Yeah, and if you need help with scholarships, contact or call Strangers No Longer and we'll work it out for you. Now the next, so are there any other I know some people had their circles met in the last month and there was some you actually discussed that question of how is the immigration crisis impacting you, your family, and your faith? So let's see, do you want to start, Nick? Nick, and where's Chris? Okay. Anybody else have a report from your circle? Did you where you actually talked about that? So you can come on up and just a brief report. One question is do you have new people coming to your last circle? So let's try to keep these reports to like a minute and a half. Okay.
Well, good morning. My name is Nick Chewy, and I belong to Our Lady of the Woods Parish in Woodhaven. Rita Hill is here with me today. We had 7 of our members attend our listening session. One new member, one person who had not come to one of our meetings. But everybody was very open, and we had a theme of there was the feeling of anxiety, hopelessness, but yet mixed with the hope. And part of that hope is we have such support from, for us as Catholics, from our Pope, our Archbishop, our priests, and other religious that are on the front lines speaking up. So that does give us hope, it gives us inspiration. And even though most of us are not affected directly, the fact of helping others does connect us. So there's that mixture of anxiety and but also hope.
Thanks, Nick. My name is Chris Lynch. I'm from the St. Regis Circle of Support, and we just had our first circle meeting after 6 years of restarting up a circle at St. Regis. So, and that was in February, and we had a slightly different question based off of Bill's input. It was, what's causing you the most anxiety these days and why are you here? And some of the major themes that came out of that had to do with the fear around the cruelty of what's happening with ICE and their inhumane treatment of people and how it's just totally not acceptable. The increased sense of a need to take action and to make change came through as one of the major themes. And also concerns on the state of the U.S., our government, corruption, and risks to our democracy were some of the major themes that came out. We did have over 20 people that showed up, so I was really happy about that. We did have our March session just last week, and not only did we have Emmanuel there giving his testimony as a missionary of hope, we had Odalis come and give her testimony. So it was very, very powerful. But again, one of the thoughts that continues to come out is the increased fear of ICE actions against some of our immigrant members. Within the same circle, we have a number of immigrant folks, including my wife, and the fear around their own situation came out. And so it's just one of those things where we took action by having the missionaries of hope come, give some hope, but it was like balanced. It's like sometimes there's a sense of hope, other times there's a sense of frustration, like, oh my gosh, things are really not in the place where they're supposed to be. And I guess it gets back to taking action and trying to do something. Even if it affects just 1 or 2 people, we can all do something to help. So thank you.
We had our meeting for March just this past week, and the date had been changed from Tuesday to Wednesday, so we only had 8 people there, but actually in February, we probably had double that number. We had about 16, and we did have a couple of new people that came to our circle meeting at Nativity Charles, a circle meeting in February, the month before. So we echoed some of the sentiments that I'm sure you've all heard before about despair or whatever. But we also said it's the coming together to be in community that keeps us going, that gives us hope. But I have a couple different things. Charlie Tazia, who organized Eastside Invisible, but is also kind of president of our circle, said he was very excited about the fact that at their Indivisible meeting, there are so many pastors and people from other smaller Christian denominations that have expressed an interest in Strangers No Longer. Like they're all looking for a way to make an impact on the community. And he keeps inviting them to our monthly leadership meetings. He said, if you're interested, you want to organize, you want to start a circle, you're welcome. And so I know that that's been happening. We're definitely spreading our wings. But Charlie said there is a lot of discussion out there about Strangers No Longer. So that's a positive thing. That's good. And then within our circle, the members have really been making an attempt to go to the family of parishes Lenten functions. So there's 5 parishes in the East Side family downtown. And every Friday during Lent, we've gone to a different church. So when we were at St. Raymond's, we even had a little celebration there because we have stations and then there's always a social get together. We have soup and it's very nice. It's been great. We've met a lot of people on those journeys. When we were at St. Raymond's, we had a celebration. Anna Maria Mata's husband had just come home from Baldwin the day before, and he was there with his family. When we're talking about the increasing our power and increasing people's knowledge of who we are, this family of parishes idea has really been beneficial. I mean, last night we were with St. Elizabeth's at Nativity because St. Elizabeth no longer has a church, and they're using Nativity. So it's bringing people together. We were at St. Charles, we were at Augustine Monica, and you get a little braver and you get a little more talkative, and you learn who people are, and it helps build the message.
Great. Thanks very much. What parish are you from? Trying. Okay. All right. So Jesu, so Kathleen, this is, you can check me if I'm missing something, but Jesu, we had, we actually did our thing we talked about this for 20 minutes. That question in our February meeting, and we had 30 people there for ours. We do potluck, same 4th Wednesday every month. And we have a potluck, but we took 20 minutes and we had 30 people, of whom 6 were brand new. Well, actually, there were 4 brand new that night. Then we got 2 more last week. So I'm not going to repeat. It was the same kind of themes, but there was one remarkable one when one of our parishioners said her daughter, adopted from South Korea, her daughter's a teacher in Macomb County, and she teaches 1st grade. And one of the one of the little boys came in, and he got mad at the kid next to him, who was a person of color, and said, "I'm going to call ICE on you." That was an 8-year-old in Macomb. So, of course, the teacher herself, a person of color, just kind of, I mean, really hurt. It hurt. Okay. So that happened. Then we also decided, we created a committee, an education committee for the parish, so that in May and June, we're going to have educational events for the whole parish on the immigration crisis, but we're going to point people towards the June 29th assembly, which we will talk about in a minute. Kathleen, anything else you want to add from Jesu?
at our meeting on Wednesday. We had a celebration at our meeting on Wednesday because one of the immigrants that we've been working with for the past 3 years, a doctor from West Africa, told us that she had passed all of her exams because, they have to go through the whole process again, and that she had just received a match. And she's going to Monroe to work in the ProMedica Regional Hospital there. And I just can't tell you how wonderful it was to have her tell her story. She really started crying because there were so many people in that room who had helped her. And we had her sponsor family there, and we were able to thank them personally too. And that was a real example of hope. It was just so powerful, and we're just so proud of Rama and her daughter that they've accomplished this. So I just wanted to share that.
That's great. Thank you. And then last one, did you have a report?
Yeah, I'm Nancy Poprovsky from Greenfield Presbyterian.
Whoops, they're new. You've been here
I was
before?
here one other time.
Okay, but she came back. Okay.
I did. I did.
Hi, Nancy.
And thank you. Hi. And I'm trying to get a circle together. I'm not having success. Not that we're not active. We're a very active church. That's part of the problem. So I'm going to the children. I'm taking a different approach if I don't get the adults. We have VBS, but before VBS, because that's in the summer, I am trying to encourage a family adoption, the children adopting a family. So if that's possible, that's what I would like to contribute.
Well, there's people in the room that have some experience if you want to check
Okay.
with Karen and Kathleen and others. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And then from Shrine, go ahead, Ruth. Go Ruth. Now, Rosalina is helping in the staff here too. Rosalina is in charge of thank you notes okay.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Ruth. I'm Rosalina's daughter, so I also help along if she can't do it all. And we talked a lot about just like so we had a lot of things to say over here, but most of it just sums up to how much anger and sadness we have about not just like the personal war we're having here, but also the war overseas and everywhere else in the world, and how like we've, at least for me and my mom, we've seen like from different people the changes that have had on family friends, on people in our groups. My mom's part of Retrovi, so they help out couples, and she actually personally saw that like they had to cancel meetings on how to better a marriage just because a one of the husbands, he got detained, and after he got detained, he got deported, and so his family took the decision to move to Mexico, and his kids were born here, they didn't speak Spanish, and they're not dual citizens. So they will not be able to go to school for at least a year while they're in Mexico. And I've seen in my family friends just the fear of going out, even to get groceries, like simple stuff like that. I've seen that they don't even want to go to work. Their kids are scared. One time I was at the mall and my family friend was like, "Oh, I have to have my ID with me and my visa with me." I'm like, "Why?" Because for me, I was just like, "It's a regular old day." She goes, "Because if they stop me, I'm just in case." I'm like, I didn't think about that because I'm so bubbled in of like, oh, it's just America. And we're so used to having like this idea of it's the land of the free. But we're more scared. And the people that came here for opportunities and to be free are scared of the freedom that they didn't deserve, if you will. But yeah, everyone at our table really talked about how like we're all praying for them and the difference that we've had. And Bill made a really good comment that we've been in the desert for 45 years. And we all really liked that comment over here. So yeah, that's what we talked about.
Ruth this is sort of an example of on June 29th, her kind of testimony in front of public officials would be I think, very moving. So I'd like to give her a round of applause. Ruth, okay. Now, I'd like to just to take about a 3 or 4 minute break. Fine, and there's a few donuts, and take a minute to find somebody you don't know and introduce yourself and try to just take. We're going to take 3 minutes. Find somebody you don't know. Get up, get out of your chair, and say hi and meet them. And we'll be back in 4.5 minutes. This is a setup. What you're doing is
Yeah, I'm leading into that. So
tell them that what you have to say is leading towards this assembly.
tell them right now.
Yeah, so that they put it in a context of June 29th.
If we could be making our way back to our seats, that would be great. You have about 5 seconds to get back to your seat, according to my timer. Okay, time's up. The timer has gone off. If we could all be in our seats now, that will be great. That way we can all get to eat lunch on time. Yes. Okay, so what I'm about to share with you, it'll be quick, so I will be speaking fast because I have a two-sided page, but I have been asked to condense that. So what I'm about to tell you, please have it all in the context of this is all going for our June Assembly for Hope. Okay? So let me start off. I'm Odalis, as most of you all know me, and I am the one that is helping you all get onto our statewide advocacy campaign, Local for Local, which for our new people, but also as a refresher for everyone, we have a couple of objectives in mind when it comes to this campaign. First, we want to redefine public safety in our communities, especially because we are living in a new reality where ICE is an increasing danger to the community, not just our immigrant neighbors, but also to everyone, really. The second objective is to hold local police accountable to the best practices when it comes to immigrant people in our communities. And then last, in really the overall picture, is we're trying to create local, meaningful change. And I emphasize the meaningful piece because it is all based on what are we hearing from our immigrant community members? How are they feeling about local police collaborating with ICE? And we're starting to have conversations, listening sessions, if you will, with our immigrant neighbors. I'm asking them specifically 3 questions. Do you feel like local police works to protect your safety? Do you feel safe calling local police if there was to be an immediate emergency? And have you experienced any incidents where you have perceived the collaboration between local police and ICE? So I'm asking them these 3 questions, having listening sessions, so then we can listen to the stories that, again, are going to be the meat of our June Assembly for Hope. So again, I encourage you all to keep having these listening sessions, and don't forget to document them and share these experiences with us, because again, we are collecting all of this because this is very, very important information that needs to be not just in this room, but also out there, especially with local police chiefs, city councils, commissioners, that they are the ones that have that influence to create policies and best practices. That's what we're trying to do with Local for Local. Now, I wanted to share an update. We have met with 33 different police representatives, so in 33 different jurisdictions. That includes precinct captains, commanders, police chiefs, and county sheriffs. Some of the trends, and I'm shorting it down to just one trend, well, 2, that we are noticing is that 287G agreements, which again are the formal written contracts between local police and ICE, they are unpopular, and unpopular once they are explained. And we have come up with a flyer and an FAQ sheet for local law enforcement.
So when you meet with them, you can hand them this sheet, and it explains to them all the reasons why 287G is not a good idea. And once they are aware of this, once we communicate this to them, they don't like it. They say, we don't want to collaborate, which is awesome, and we applaud that. However, it's not just about these formal contracts. It's about what's happening in their practices when they stop someone that doesn't have a driver's license or doesn't speak English. Things like that. That is where, and we know from our immigrant lawyers and Merck, that is where people are getting funneled into the deportation pipeline through these traffic routine policing encounters. So that's the main thing. And through these traffic stops, there's complexity when it comes to shared databases. So when someone is brought into the precinct, they get fingerprinted. All of that data goes into shared databases that even if the police chiefs don't want to collaborate with ICE, they are because of these shared networks of information. And so it requires us to know this information and then go ask them key questions like, hey, did you know that you might be collaborating by this way, this way, this way? And they are, one, grateful to you that you care enough about the community to show up and inform them. And two, now they know, okay, we have to go back and look into our practices, look into our databases to make sure that we are actually keeping people safe. That is what we play a really key role in creating that meaningful change. And that takes me to that June Assembly for Hope. Not only are we going to be sharing all of the stories that we're getting from these listening sessions, but we're also going to be promoting certain policies and practices that they can, by they I mean police chiefs, city councils, even state legislations. We need them to make changes in legislation, in local policy, in order to protect our communities. And some of these things, and we're trying to come up with a sort of model policy or at minimum directives that local law enforcement can take place, but also state legislators too. So we want local law enforcement agencies, city councils, and state legislature to prohibit all 287G agreements. And this is not new. A lot of different states already have this in state law. No 287G agreements, require transparency in how and why local and state agencies are interacting with ICE so that the community knows exactly where are these interactions happening, why are they taking place, how many. Data is there, but we need more transparency laws around this. And these are all just ideas too. This is something that we have to work together to create, right? And we're going to be doing all of this at that June Assembly. And lastly, we want to prohibit law enforcement agents from asking about citizenship status or immigration, place of birth at traffic stops. We want to request ICE to support language, we want to request that ICE and CBP are not contacted for language support or identification support. And the list goes on. It's a lot, really, a lot of changes that need to be made. I had all of this sheet of changes that need to be made, so I won't list them out now for the sake of time, but I wanted to let you all know that all that we're doing with visiting police chiefs is really meaningful, and it's all going to come together at that June Assembly for Hope. Okay? Also, at your tables, there are QR codes. There's not enough for everyone. However, the point is for you to scan it, and it's going to take you to a step-by-step guide how to do a research action meeting with your police chief or sheriff or even city council. And it has a lot of links. I've added a lot new materials. For example, now there's a role-playing activity where you can take a group of your circle at your next meeting and I'll be the police chief, you be the community representative, and we're just gonna role play how this could work. And that role play uses the actual agenda that we use when speaking to our actual police chiefs. So new resources, please check it out. I'm always here to help you out if anything. That's it for now. Thank you.
So if you look at your agenda, we're going to spend some time on this proposed Assembly for Hope June 29th. Now, where's President of the Board, Judy Brooks? The actual decision to have this assembly, the Board of Directors of Strangers No Longer, is this working? Is this okay? Can I hear you? The Board of Directors appointed a 6-person committee to begin looking at whether we should do this assembly. That was one group. So there's a 6-person committee on the board. Is Judy's there, Jim, Flor, Carmona, anybody else on the committee? All right, then there's another committee, there's 6, but then there's also the task force, Odalis, right? The task force has discussed this possibility, right? So and who's on the task force? Chris, Rose, Bob, Nick, Karen. All right. What did the task force say? We should do it or not?
I don't think it's working. The stories to the local police chief, because we've mentioned that a lot of them may not be aware of the realities of immigrants and immigration law in general. So this is a great space for them to know what's happening with their local community members. And the idea came up that perhaps we can have breakout groups where we are going to invite local police chiefs, right? So if they show up and their people of their area show up, they can have breakout sessions to then and there have an honest conversation about how they can have better practices. So we're excited.
All right.
Thanks.
So at the end of the next couple of minutes, if it's okay with you, Judy, to actually have a ratification. If the 50 people in this room from all these different parishes say this is a good idea and we're going to come and we're going to bring people, if that's the spirit of this group, then it's official. We're going to do this thing. Now, with the Attorney General's office, Dana Nessel, she's out of office this is her last year. She cannot run again as Michigan Attorney General. So we feel she's sort of like unchained. She'll say what she really wants to think. She'll say what she thinks. So that's a good thing. But we had to tell her, no, we told her it's going to happen on June 29th. But I had my fingers crossed, and in case we decided not to do it, we'll just say. But this group here will decide, right, Judy? We'll have a show of hands. But we're going to try to encourage people. So I'm sure there's questions, so I'd rather just go with the questions. But let me just run through this list. It's on your agenda, so you can take this home with you, and somebody can, if they ask you. This assembly will be a setup for a legislative platform. Do you know what a platform is? When the Democratic platform or the Republican platform or it's a platform of this is what we want to have happen. We know we don't like this, but somebody says, well, what do you want? My nephew, our nephew says, I don't like hamburger. Okay, well, what do you want, Benny? Not only for the state, but for the city. The children of immigrants, Flor, could you just, can you just say, it was your idea to have the children of if immigrants are afraid to come because of the crisis, where their kids, their American-born kids could come, like Ruth, for instance, or others. Do you want to say, Ruth, can you just throw out, can you come up? All right. As she's coming up, but I would like everybody, while Flor comes up, if you could grab there's a green sheet, and it's a cardboard, it's kind of cardboard. I think there's enough for everybody. Everybody needs to have your green, just take it, please. And it's not paper, it's cardboard, so that it'll last. So this is you beginning to think, like Father Dave said, you're not here as an individual, you're here representing a larger group. So what is your turnout effort? So that's your turnout list for June 29th. Flor, do you just want to say, and who's going to translate? Okay, come on, Alejandro.
Buenos días. Eh,
Okay, go ahead, Flora.
nosotros tuvimos una reunión con Odalis, hablando acerca de la necesidad de los inmigrantes y si era posible que los papás o los inmigrantes que están en problemas estuvieran en esta reunión que se va a llevar a cabo el 29 de junio.
Yeah, so they had a meeting with Odalis and they spoke about June 29th and trying to see if they can have the parents of immigrant children, los padres, ¿verdad?
O las personas que están en problemas con
Or anyone that has problems with immigration to attend el, que vayan al de 25, June 29th.
Y nosotros que ya hemos estado en estos procesos, sabemos el miedo que la gente inmigrante tiene en estos eventos.
We know the fear that, immigrant parents have in these type of events. We've been in situations like that before.
Comentábamos que era una buena idea invitar a los hijos de inmigrantes que son nacidos aquí para que sean los que estén presentes, para que sean la voz de los padres.
Yeah, and so we had the idea of having the children who are U.S. born citizens attend the event representing their parents that live in fear.
Y una de las maneras para invitar a los jóvenes sería que las iglesias les hagan saber de esta propuesta y de este evento.
And one way to inform the youth of this event is so the church inform, the youth of their community about the event.
Y que como miembros de la iglesia, ellos le comuniquen a los adultos para que sean ellos quienes impulsen a sus hijos y los alienten a que sean la voz de ellos mismos.
And have the youth and the parents, communicate about the event and kind of encourage the youth to attend and represent their parents. That's it.
Okay, what do you think? Okay, questions about the event, about June 29th. Now, we'll have questions. Where's Jackie? Okay, so questions, but I'm asking you, we got a couple of months, but that green card there of my list, you should be putting down at the top of the list you should talk to, who should be at the top of everybody's list? Who? God? What? Okay, all right. Who else? Your pastor, huh? Your pastor should be at the top. The pastor or the parish leader, head of the parish council, those people should be at the top of the list. When you walk in on June 29th carrying the Our Lady of the Woods banner or the St. Regis banner, your pastor or your pastoral leader needs to know that, all right. And so the pastor should be at the top of the list. Anybody else should be on your list, your green list. How about your kids that don't go to church anymore? Okay, now my kids, Vicky, I'm speaking for this is my, they don't go to church, and they kind of say why, and they have their reasons. But one thing they say is, I know they're proud when they hear what the Catholic Church is doing around this immigration, and frankly, the war. I mean, the fact that the Pope and the bishops are getting attacked by Trump or challenged by Trump. So they're proud of that. All right. So questions about the event. So start filling out the green card. Jackie?
So something for our circles, are you encouraging us to also reach out into our local city commissions and police departments to invite them to attend as participants?
Yes.
Is that one of?
Right, Odalis, right? Your task force talked about, yes.
Okay.
They should be there. Why? Because eventually we are going to push them at the local level to make laws governing the city. And it was your idea at Huntington Woods. Didn't you tell me that the Huntington Woods City Council is starting to talk about some new laws that they want to, okay.
Right. Well, the community has been pushing and now it's
That's right.
really happening. But, oh, shoot.
Shiesty.
Green. Okay. Anyway, if we have people who, let's say, have like city commissioners or police who've actually passed meaningful laws, should we also let you know so you can
That would be
Can
an example. Those would
Okay.
be examples.
Okay, great. Okay.
And now we want that to be on June 29th, but June 29th is begin setting up for the formal thing
Right,
in
right.
October.
And I assume state representatives, so
Yep.
any local officials that what we know have done meaningful things or not meaningful things, and we want them there to be effective. Okay.
Correct.
That is a question, and I think there was something else, but I forget. So,
All right.
thank
Any
you.
other
That's
questions? Go
excellent.
ahead. I was waiting for that. Where is this going to happen? It depends. No, it'll be in Southeast Michigan. But frankly, there will be a delegation. Amy's working with a delegation from the northern 21 counties. The youth, the high school youth are meeting. They're actually going to have a retreat on June 27th and 28th. That's going to end on the 29th. The whole high school retreat group will come to the conference on the 29th. But where's it going to be depends on your green sheets. If we have 300 people from the parishes, if we have 300, one idea is to have it at St. Michael's in Sterling Heights. It's got a refurbished, so anyway, Pat Watanabe is talking to Father Quain as to see, do they have video stuff? Do they have breakout rooms? And she says she's going to talk to Father Quain. Now that, we don't know what the numbers would be, but if it's 300, maybe that would be a good spot. It's in Macomb, which is kind of a red/purple area. It's a good thing. However, if we get up around 1,000, then, Dana Nessel, others are going to say these people are not messing around. If we could move it, the turnout up higher from our parishes and from our neighbors and friends, I know this, but if we can move then the question, it would probably be, we would have to start looking, I think we would have to look at maybe UD Mercy or Oakland University. Odalis is meeting at Oakland University next week with some officials. That would be sort of a backup. So we're going to try to have two places. What if we have 300? What if we have 1,000? Does that answer the question? Jackie, go ahead.
I can speak. The question is there an effort, or is this intentional is the intent of this to be more ecumenical, maybe in spirit?
Well, let's ask the group.
Okay.
Should this be ecumenical or just Catholic? Just Catholic. Who says just Catholic? Is there a reason to keep it Catholic? Look, we got a call from a former Catholic. Well, she's still Catholic and she still hooks up with Catholic parish, but she's a leader out at Christ Church, Grosse Pointe, Episcopal. Yesterday, Father Bob Altop at Nativity Episcopal. Where's Father Bill? Where's Father Bill Kirschkar? Is he still here? He's trying to start a circle at his Lutheran church down in Monroe. So this is and then you're a circle of compassion. Okay, so yes, it's our round of applause, ecumenical. Should we go that route? Okay. Good point. All right, so I'd ask the board members and the task force take note of these questions, these comments. Okay, other questions? Go ahead.
To tell us about what we're going to
Yes.
ask all our people to join and why, so
Yes.
that we can get.
Yeah, now you'll see on there when our next meetings are. April, we think we have to do it on a Tuesday evening, but April 28th and May 3rd. So we've got time, and we have our monthly assemblies to keep planning, but also the task force and is meeting on April 9th. When is that meeting at Odalis or Nick? I think your task force, when does that meet, Rosemary? Your task force meets on April 9th at 4 o'clock, I think, right? By Zoom. Odalis was telling me. So if somebody wants to join the planning, let Odalis know. Jim?
Yeah, I'm just going to say we're going to set up a form online for people to indicate their interest in attending this. So that, and we'll have a QR code and stuff like that. We'll get it up within the next week or so and send it out so we can begin building the list of people who want to come so we can see what our numbers are doing.
Okay, other questions? Vicky?
For candidates to come, correct?
Well,
Or
there
is
was
it-
some talk about making this a candidates forum before the primary.
I agree. There should be no, I mean, I think it's too much of a three-ring circus if you have
That's right.
anything before the primary. But I would highly, highly encourage us to commit to having something after the primary with candidates, because the immigration issue and other issues are just, there's a lot of difference between candidates and those issues. So, but.
All right, so let's just, this is not a candidates forum.
Correct.
If candidates decide to come and they want, I'm sorry, Judy?
At the meeting we had, this issue came up. And you said if candidates just want to come and be participants, yes, but they're not are going to speak. The 29th.
No, they will not have a forum. One thing that we could do if they're there is to say yes or no. When will you show, if you win the primary, will you be at our candidates forum, yes or no? I mean, we could expect them to be there in the fall, but all right, that's all right. They will not have a forum. All right. Huh? No, no, okay, yeah. All right. So forget that. Just they can come, right? They can't say anything. Yeah. We'll have Ruth guarding the microphone. Ruth and her friends. All right, other questions?
Okay.
Linda, go ahead, Linda. Linda, by the way, Linda, as you're getting ready,
Hello. Okay, good.
there are other new people here. Jaime, I'd like from Holy Redeemers, Our Lady Guadalupana works with them. Jaime, just a round of applause for Holy Redeemers in the house. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, there's a couple of things. One, what is the goal of having this? Because I hear several things. I hear having the children of people who are at risk speak. I hear there's inviting police chiefs and people, law enforcement, and people who are already involved, and perhaps this being an opportunity for us to engage some other people who aren't yet involved. There's some things about that make me nervous, and maybe I'm being nervous for the wrong reason. And I think the other thing is, how do you say? There is something wrong about what is happening to people who are immigrants to this country. It's not wrong because the food is shitty at the detention center. It's not wrong because they're wrestling people to the ground. It's not wrong because, for all of those reasons. That's very wrong, but it's wrong at its core. And nibbling around the edges of this to make it nicer or more acceptable can be very dangerous, because you don't address the core. And this thing, once made nice, once the masks are off and the judicial warrants are required and they're knocking on the door and being polite as they put you in the car, it legitimizes it and institutionalizes it.
Right.
So I just want to know exactly why this and why now. Yeah, so it's like if they were being nicer, the fact that they're picking up Black and brown people from other places, putting them in detention centers and deporting them would be okay. That's an immigration policy if they're nice about it. And I'm nervous about, let me say this. People who are speaking, who are at risk, are courageous beyond any level of courageous I am. Okay. However, I feel some discomfort with their having to do what they're doing to quote unquote tug my heartstrings. My heartstrings don't need tugging. And I don't think the heartstrings of anybody in this room needs tugging. And, you know, people who care, they care about these things. And I'm a little uncomfortable with putting people at risk or having their children, you know, I'm a little uncomfortable with that. And I mean, they have the last word because I can't
Right.
speak for them. So, but that, I just want to say that.
Right. Round of applause, frankly. Okay. My purpose for doing this, or what I think and what I've heard from others, is to expand the base of people who are going to make changes in this state. All right, expanding the base. I also think watching the police chief from the Minneapolis police chief, I'm sure. Well, when I heard him get on the microphone after the mayor spoke, when I heard him saying, we have worked for 5 years to deal with trauma around the George Floyd killing. There are police chiefs that are trying to move into community policing, where the police actually serve and protect. So there's a movement among police chiefs to do that. And Odalis, your task force, we have met with some of those people. Now there's people on the other side, the Sheriff's Association police chief, or chief of the Michigan Sheriff's Association. He's not on board with us. The head of the Police Chiefs Association, what's his name, Wiles? He is on board with us. So we're trying to build our base and our allies as broadly as possible. And this is one way, having the election, you know, we've got to we have an opportunity to make our voices louder, stronger, broader. Go ahead. Microphone, Jim.
Oh, I just wanted to say, I kind of agree putting those children at risk because they are scared for their parents. But maybe a different solution would be have someone interview them, have a personal, like a witness of their story. And that might, because I think that we should be including, because we do need other people have to have their heartstrings tugged so they do action. Because we're here, we have it, we're here. But we need to expand and because that's a way to get to someone's heart, to see and hear what's going on. Many people are oblivious. They're doing their daily thing. They don't realize how many families are affected and they need their heartstrings pulled. So I do agree with you. I'm nervous for those kids. If someone gets their names out, they could go follow them home. I'm concerned, but I think getting their stories and getting it out, that will probably get more people.
Thank you. So, yes, we're all scared. We want to make sure that our testimonies are protected, or whoever's talking is protected. But, you know, a few years back, I went to Grand Rapids with Bill. We had a meeting, 300 people with sheriff, with whoever was there, right? There were multiple police officers. And it was just an empowering meeting because it was a united community with different backgrounds, with immigrants and non-immigrants. And this right here, right now, it's important. Why? Because you're gonna see a Detroit United. You're gonna see whoever's not on board, they're gonna see how many leaders are coming together. And they might have to consider their job, because at the end of the day, chiefs are to serve the community. And if the community is united in one goal, then they're gonna have to rethink how they approach this situation. And we have to remind them, we have all of these people on board, Are you in or are you out? And even though, just like you said, yes, our kids are going to be exposed, so are they, because we're going to be watching them. So it is an opportunity to gather, to unite with people that are trying to help us, to say, okay, this is my opportunity to join something that is actually good and not evil. And expose whoever's on our favor and see who is not our friend.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? And then, because we're moving towards the final reflection and prayer. And I guess what is it? All right, so Mediterranean. It was a Mike's Kebab, I think. So we've got lunch, fellowship lunch. I know some people wanted to have lunch before they go to the march. Who had a question? Vicky.
I'd like to put this out for the committee to consider someone to frame this issue along the lines of what Joyce said, in terms of ultimately we're after a fundamental change in this country's immigration policy. I mean, and that should frame the whole event. Sure, we want them to take masks off, and we don't want these local chiefs to participate in federal immigration enforcement. Yes. This is all part of that equation. But I think someone should frame it in the beginning about that what's going on in this country is evil, and that our faith calls us to some fundamental change in immigration policy. And if someone could just frame that in the beginning, I think it would make us all feel sort of more grounded in what we're doing.
Right.
Always about that at the end. I mean, look at the policies in the past. It was always about race. And we're there again. You know, some of my black and brown friends have said, I'm with you, but I'm not going to be out there because that makes me very vulnerable, because see how I look.
All right, so Linda, was it Linda? Joyce, and Mike, go ahead, Mike. And by the way, when you say somebody put it together, the people that are making comments here, somebody, that's the somebody. Mike?
In that context, I think that Joyce has raised, I think it's important to remember that Dr. King started a movement, and he framed a purpose to save the soul of America. And that's a good goal.
So, look, Joyce, Mike, Vicky, Karen, before you leave, if one of you would take some responsibility to make sure that there's a committee happening, okay? Anybody else? Rosalina or Ruth? Hey, by the way, Ruth, are you going up north to the Upper Peninsula over the summer? So your job is to build a circle of support up there. Okay. All right.
I'll tell my friends about that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm standing now. So yeah, I'm a Totus Tuus missionary over the summer. So I won't be able to go, unfortunately. But I think something that me and my mom were talking about a little bit, like considering like, yes, the safety, because when they said children, I thought, oh, people my age. But I think another way, if we really wanted to have the immigrants to like talk, we could do like have their testimony. I think a good idea would be like having a video, and if you wanted that safety aspect, you can blur out their faces, but still have them there sitting in front of you talking to them. Just having their testimony out, and then we can obviously like we're hoping to have a place that has like a computer or a screen of some sort to project that, and so that they can tell their story without having like feeling vulnerable and having their voice shared.
Okay, great. Good. Ruth? Okay. So, Floor, is that all right? It's an idea? Okay. All right. Any other questions before we move? Rick, go ahead. Why don't you wait till after or right before the prayer, we'll do that, okay? Any other questions or comments? All right, so do you want to call for a vote by this assembly whether we should do this June 29th? Go ahead, take the vote. Madam President. All right. No, you don't? Rosalie, okay. All right, so it's you, I think it's unanimous, right, Judy? All right. Okay, Sue Rakosi is going to do the closing reflection. This was not a good, this was a tough week for many, for in a lot of ways. I mean, certainly what else is going on around the world, the whole racial thing. But we also lost a dear friend, Sister Becky von der Haar, who many times has led us in prayer. And when we did our solemn procession of 700 people on July 14th, she kicked it off with her own reflection. So she died Tuesday night, I think. So Rick, how about an announcement, and then we'll be followed by Sue Rakosi. Christine, another announcement? All right.
I just wanted to say thank you all. Thank you all so much to everyone who was able to come to the Interfaith Day of Unity 2026 last Sunday. Just by show of hands, who was able to make it there? There were a few of us here. If you have any questions or want to get an impression, please talk to these sisters and brothers of ours. Next year, just down the road here, Detroit Unity Temple, Interfaith Day of Unity 2027 in March of 2027. I hope to see all of you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick, I just want to say it was absolutely amazing. So amazing. All the different faiths that came together and the energy and the power that was in that building was just phenomenal. I recommend anyone to attend next year. I have a couple things. I know that Marianne mentioned our upcoming class, Faith and Immigration. And I just wanted to say that we have at Christ the Redeemer in Lake Orion, we started with a Peace and Justice Committee with 20 people. Now we have a subcommittee with 30 other people. And it's only because we had this class twice. And those are the participants are now committee members. And we are teaching this class again on starting April 8th. And everybody's welcome. We will also offer a Zoom link if you can attend personally. The other thing is Grace, Grace, who's usually here with me, she is in Poland. She's also inviting us the same day that our class starts, April 8th. She went to a meeting there at the Oakland County Commissioner meeting, which is going to be April 8th. They need us to speak out against ICE. And they want as many people as we can, keep the commissioners there all night, be annoying as hell. So anybody that wants more information, I will send some information to Odalis and Bill to send out to the group.
Okay, so
If we register, we'll give it to you.
Andy, and then we're going to move to Sue in the closing prayer and reflection.
Okay, I've got these little things that I've been leaving on restaurant tables. They say, "My friend is an immigrant." You can make these little signs, and let me tell you, it feels wonderful. It feels wonderful, like you're actually doing something every day when you leave a little sign somewhere in your community. Do it.
Thank you. Thank you for your courage. Thanks everybody for being here today. Last month I did tell you guys some news about stuff that they're doing, and this month I have a little more. So there's just so that they can continue keeping families separated. We had a family from our group that their mother and sister were coming over with a tourist visa. They allowed the mom to stay, but they rejected the sister. This is after the fact that they go to the American consul, get their interview approved, get their visa, get their flight tickets. Once they're here in Chicago, they were like, you know what? You can go, but you can't. You got to go back. And they waited hours and hours, a whole day wasted waiting for their sister to come out with her daughter, and they were denied entry after all they worked for. This is one. And the other is, I hate to hear stuff like this, but when you have immigrants with asylum and then they send Asians to South America just to make it harder for them, and more suffering. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But these is the stories that you don't hear on the news, of course. So this is why we have to continue telling you guys what's happening to immigrants. And this is before we start praying, so we consider those families in our heart.
Okay, so, and then, so after the prayer, Alejandro won't take much explaining the lunch.
Thank you. How many of you knew Sister Becky? All right. Yeah. So Becky died on Tuesday. She had been ill briefly, but her death really was a big shock. The sister I live with, Margaret Alant, who you know, took a phone call and came back to the living room in tears. So we can all shed our tears for Becky, but she is now dwelling in light. When I think about Becky, I think about commitment. She was an IHM sister for 65 years. She went to Ghana in 1982 and stayed about 25 years, working in extremely poor communities and trying to give young people who were going to be teachers some formation on how to teach. When she came back because her parents were ill. She worked in her home parish in religious ed, and she worked in all kinds of justice initiatives, including Strangers No Longer. Becky had enormous compassion for everyone. In the school that she worked in Ghana, there weren't any materials really, so she just invented how to teach. She and another sister invented how to teach without books and materials. Back here in the States, she visited a number of nursing homes. She was creative. She always had new ideas. She was always committed to every justice issue. So let us just take a moment to remember our favorite memory of Becky. As we begin Holy Week, Jesus, we will walk with you to the cross, and we will be sad because it is painful. And this year we walk with our sister Becky, who is dwelling in light. Give us the courage to walk with you, to walk with our immigrant brothers and sisters, to walk with everyone in need. And we ask this in your name. Amen.
The funeral is Tuesday at 10 a.m. at the IHM Mother House Chapel.
Yes, 10 a.m. on Tuesday, the 31st. There's a welcoming of the body. What we do is we have a room near the chapel where there will be photos and things that Becky produced, so you can get a sense of her life. So everyone is welcome.
Just to provide some information on lunch, order from Mike's Kebabs. You can start here on the left-hand side, and you can start with salad. In the back, there the pita bread, hummus, rice, chicken, and beef, and then the fixings for your pita at the end with like siki sauce and some vegetables. God bless. Thanks.